Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Grant with OMG. Today, I did a little tester for myself. I really encourage anybody to do kind of a test video or graphics reel every week. I learned this from Nick Campbell, the Grayscale Gorilla, one of my personal heroes of design. He encouraged me and his fans and followers to practice once a week doing 5 second just basic After Effects animations or Cinema 4D animations. And I do the same thing for myself, but I do them usually in 30-second or 60-second or 2-minute type videos where I can just test out my skills. So this one I just put together as a little 7. How long is it? 8-second kind of opening clip that I'll throw before as an intro into my tutorials for a little bit just to test it out. Probably make another one later, but this one just took me about, I don't know, 40-45 minutes to do. It involved very simple graphics made inside Photoshop, and really the longest part that took me to do it was to create stuff on the fly. I'm a creative person, but I don't like to be sitting and creating new for like forever or thinking about just one thing. I'll create and I'll do it and I'll publish it and I'll get it out, and I don't like to waste a whole bunch of time. So I'll just kind of run through what I did with this. I'll just play it straight through and see how you guys like it. So that was incredibly simple, involved the same graphics with just a little bit of keyframing, animation, and just location, motion. So I'll show you the basics of what it involved. First of all, I picked a soundtrack that I liked. Involved a lot of crazy sounds, a lot of intense bass lines. So I started out with that, and I thought it was pretty cool that I could take these very small sections. I'll play it back for you real quick just so you can see how many different times this little logo comes up. So I thought to myself, why don't I just create an image and then just duplicate it and stagger it down real quick. So the first thing I did was I went to Photoshop and I created a clear background. Then I just laid down my first layer of a black square, and then I just put through some white text down. I just figured out a font that I kind of like for it. This is actually the main one. I only created 3 tutorials, OMG, and then this combination of the two with the vertical bar. So when I was ready to save it, I just deleted the back layer. I hit Command-Shift-S, which is save as, and I save it as a PNG. So I'll just go down, PNG, boom. It's a kind of a see-through layer. It's very easy to move around without any other background layers. So I just put them in a folder I wanted to put them in, one that I'm going to keep, never going to move, and just dragged everything in to OMG graphics folder right here in my browser. 1, 2, 3, and audio. Very simple lineup in my browser. Scoot this over so you can see it better. And let me zoom in. So all I did was at first I was only planning on doing a couple. Then I got to a couple more. So you can see that this is the smallest one up top here, which is the longest one that's actually on there. Oh, I'm sorry, it's this one. So you can see the longer they are, it's the smaller one as it goes down. So I click, and you can see, yeah, you get the point. I did the same thing with the tutorials one over here. Started out, this one I did correctly. I learned from my mistake. This is just doing stuff on the fly, creating quickly. So you can see the smallest one is at the bottom as I move my way up, so on and so on. So all I did was I just placed the first one down and just marked where I want it. So I just selected it. Make sure my playhead is above it. So you can see up here, I can just hover above it. Make sure not to touch the corners or hover above the edge where I can rotate. I want the X and Y graph on it. Click and move. Boom. I'm going to undo it because I want to save it like that. But it was super easy. I just copied a whole bunch of them, stacked them on top of each other like layers, and just staggered them out. Now the only thing I did just a little bit more creative was I added a Gaussian blur, which comes as a stock effect. If you go into video filters, the first folder is blur, Gaussian, or Gaussian, depending on how you want to call it. So I did actually 2 layers. I blurred one out. I could have done it all the same layer, but wanted it to be easier. So if I go frame by frame, you can see that the gradient layer below it, which I'll open up so you can see. Now, it's real quick to get a gradient layer. It's very simple. Just go over here, down to render, and up to gradient. It's going to open it up in your viewer. There's a huge selection of different types of fades, left to right, up and down, diagonal. I traditionally, if you notice, a lot of commercials will have a radial center. So I'm going to go back to video so you can actually see that. Now to actually draw this thing out further, let me bring it down real quick into the timeline just so you can see it. Scroll back in the canvas. So when I actually select it, I'm going to actually draw it out further. So I typically don't like the real dark corner edges, the focal points, too much. So I'll draw it within kind of this range right here. So I don't need that. Go back over. So all I did was I started out the gradient pretty transparent. I hit my Option W to bring up my audio bars and my transparency bars. You can see in the pink and the black lines, I selected the P button to be able to define a point, and I slowly drew the transparency of this layer just a little bit higher. So as I scroll along by hitting right, you can see it's slowly drawing upwards. And at the same time, I also have the Gaussian blur on the OMG logo itself, drawing from about 50% down to 0 right at the very end of the keyframe. So the same thing with the first OMG logos. I just stacked them. I reversed them from the top and bottom. Reason I did that is because of the sound dropping. In an opening it drops, but from here the sound pops back up. So I just did it how your mind would normally see it or hear it, visualize it. So let me listen. I'll let you listen to it. Ah, yes, he thought of this. In this, so you can actually see this gradient layer. This was the actual original one from over here. That's why I said I liked drawing it out. So it actually looks pretty clean right there. Just a little bit of a focal background. So I just threw these layers way high on video 9. This is the same layer right here, nothing behind the original with white. Now with this one, all I did was to make it black, I double clicked, and over here in my filters I went down and I added from my color correction folder, color corrector 3-way. I dragged onto this, and you can actually see the easiest way to make something black or white, or black it out, is to go under your blacks and draw this all the way up and take your whites all the way down. Ah, we are learning, always fun. So yeah, it was really simple, and then I just copied and pasted both of these animations on top of each other, which I'm going to hit Shift T to give you the best view. So you can actually see that huge stack of all the layers right there. Boom. Also Shift Z, and depending on which window you're in, will give you, let's say I'm super far zoomed down in. If I'm selected in the timeline, if I hit Shift Z, it'll give me the entire frame of view. Same thing with the canvas. If I'm zoomed in super far down, Shift Z will also draw me back out to the original view. So, and then the last one, I just kind of did the same thing because there's this two large baselines that go boom boom, and so I drew up the transparency of these same gradients, and I just threw on my OMG and then my tutorial layer and added a Gaussian blur that started at 0. I reversed it and made it fuzzy at the end, about 80% Gaussian blur. Same thing here. So when you actually hear it, you probably have to put headphones on to understand, because it's some really heavy bass line, and that's what really attracted me to it. So you guys out there with the headphones, put them on. That'll be sweet. Then I just threw on a simple layer. So the funny thing is as I really like simple, elegant text, but I just did this for the heck of it, just to try it out. I'll end up changing it later, but I love trying out new things, and I encourage you to do the same thing. So yeah, that was me putting together a little 8-second animation thing. You know, it took me less than an hour, which is good. And with graphics, it's super easy to export because it just literally took, I think, 2 minutes to actually export into a full-on file. So yeah, that's it. Any questions, comments, leave them below the video. And yeah, until next time, peace.